God dang, am I excited for today's episode. If I were to stand up, you'd see for yourself. You'll recognize today's guests from movies like Benchwarmers and Grandma's Boy, TV shows like Reno 911, and his incredible stand-up comedy specials. Be sure to check out his new special, Make Joke from Face, on YouTube now. And if you'd like to see him live, I'd suggest heading over to nickswardson.net. Check out all of his upcoming tour dates for the Toilet Head Live Tour. Well, enough of my yammering. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nick Swardson.
Funny, you asked me what I wanted for my intro, and one of my favorite things is I don't give a fuck. I don't have an ego or anything about, some comedians are really specific about their intros.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Wherever I am, if I pop into the club, they're like, what do you want me to say? I'm like, whatever. So
Yeah.
One of my openers, this guy, Chad Zumach, and he will just, I'm like, say whatever. And so he comes up with really funny ones. Like he'll bring me up and he'll build it up where he's like, you know him, the writer, director, and star of Mannequin 2. And the crowd, they think he's gonna say Grandma's Boy, which I didn't direct or anything, but
yeah.
He's like, he always throws in even I don't know what he's saying, and it makes me laugh when I walk on.
Well, I to be honest, I was gonna say co-writer of Malibu's Most Wanted, which I think might be.
That's fine. People would probably think that's a joke.
It's not a joke, though, right?
No, I know it's not a joke. I'm aware, Cody. I fucking wrote the script.
Well,
the original one. But but people would probably be like, oh, I mean, people don't know. The funny thing is people don't know the extent of my body of work in terms of writing. I have people that come to shows. This is real. And they'll come to shows and then I'll meet them afterwards at a bar or whatever the fuck. Mm. And they're like, hey man, big Grandma's Boy fan, love Benchwarmers. I'm like, cool. And they're like, I didn't even know you did stand-up. You're really good at stand-up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've fucking done it for 30 years. People have no idea.
That's so funny. That is crazy. Because I mean, you've been very successful as a stand-up since you were a kid, basically. I mean,
yeah, 19. I mean, that's when you get older, you realize, yeah, that's a child.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, you have no life experience. I mean, some people do.
But also, it's not common at all. I mean, there's only a handful who had that amount of success that young, if any. I mean, I guess Dave Chappelle, he was,
Chappelle started young. I mean, there's a handful of people. I mean, old school dudes like Freddie Prinze Jr.
Well, yeah,
Eddie Murphy. I mean, there's, obviously not that level. I'm bigger.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, it is an anomaly for sure.
Yeah. Because it was, when was your Comedy Central Presents? How old were you? The first one? 20 something, early 20s?
22.
Yeah.
Maybe 23 in that wheelhouse.
I mean, that's damn.
That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And people kind of thought that was, I started in Minneapolis and people kind of thought that's how it is. Oh, that's just the norm.
Yeah.
You start as a teenager and then HBO discovers you and then you go on and, boom. But it was it's very much an anomaly.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's kind of the crazy thing about comedy too, is that with most other forms of entertainment, whether sports, acting, modeling, I guess you want to call that, any of those things, usually people are starting off at about the same age,
right.
But in comedy, you may be starting out with somebody who's 19 and with somebody who's 50.
Yeah, totally.
At the same time, which I think that is that's very unique to comedy as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, completely. And the good thing about comedy is, I'm a big sports fan. So,
yeah,
I see these athletes that have been training, since they were fucking 5. Insane. I mean, I remember Tiger Woods was on the Tonight Show, and I remember it vividly with Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, I think he was 2.
Yes,
he was so young. And I remember before I knew who he was. I mean, I was a kid too.
Yeah,
diarrhea. But I remember he had this perfect golf swing. And it was kind of a sideshow, oh, we've got this kid who can drive a ball. But I mean, those athletes, especially Olympic athletes, where they spend their whole life. I mean, at least other athletes, they have a career. Not to say that Olympic athletes don't, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's one moment, and then, they'll hopefully make it to another one. And, like that to me, I did a bit about it in my special, Seriously Who Farted, about figure skating and somebody training their whole life and then wiping out. And like, my heart breaks for those people. So that's all, they've just been going to that finish line, and then they
has to be
in front of the world.
Oh, has to be the worst feeling. Like I am obsessed with the Olympics. 2 years if you count summer and winter. And I mean, I get so fucking into it. And
it's great, yeah.
Within an hour, I turn into a gymnastics expert as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I'm watching somebody, I'm like, oh, that was fucking horse shit. And meanwhile, they're doing something that I could never do. No amount of PCP in my system could get me to do any of that.
I know. Let's challenge that though. Let's see if that can play out.
I mean, I'd be down for it. Why not?
They should have like an American Idol for Olympic tryouts, and it's just an average show, just on like 10,000 drugs, just as a reality show.
Oh, I will streamline some fucking angel dust and get on that pommel horse.
Oh,
yeah. It'll be majestic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's something like, again, like I'm a psycho sports fan, and
same.
I mean, everybody's a couch coach, where you're watching and you're like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Ball drop? It's in the end zone? I mean, it's just stuff like that where you're like,
yeah. Dude, hey, congratulations on the Vikings being the 49ers. As far as like when we're recording this, it's, that past weekend. That was a fucking amazing game.
That was insane. And the opening win against the Giants, it was kind of like, oh, okay, even though we like blew them out. But I mean, I wasn't, like, here we go. And I remember saying, like, if we beat the 49ers, I'm like, not that I'm not on board, but I mean, I'm like, okay, we're real.
Yes.
The 49ers are nasty, and they dismantled. Who did they play? The Jets first week? Yeah, the Jets.
Yeah. And destroyed the Jets.
Dismantled. And that was without McCaffrey. And I was like,
right.
Oh God, the 49ers are gonna, hopefully not decimate us. But yeah, we won that game. And we could have easily won if we hadn't fumbled on the first yard line or whatever.
Yeah. Dude, Sam Darnold is. If there's not a Sam Darnold statue in Minneapolis by the end of the season.
There will be. Lord.
I mean, it is pretty amazing, I mean, that dude, he deserves it.
We had that guy Dobbs. We had like 5 quarterbacks last year. And we had Dobbs, and he had that sweet game. He had like 2. That one game was insane. And then everyone's pot committed.
Yeah.
Chips, all the chips.
Yes.
Any chip. Doritos, everything. Put it all. And and then that poor guy. I hope he's, that's something.
Yeah.
He's an astronaut, so he can just get out of here.
Yeah. That is the beauty of, space travel. So you can just up and go if need be.
Especially now during these times. It's just like
God.
I mean, I can't believe Elon Musk didn't go to Saturn during COVID.
It's a fair, I mean, the moon at least, like the moon's the easy one to get to. You can get there.
The moon's easy, bro.
Right.
It's easier than the drive to Houston.
Oh, exactly. Dude, I'd pitch a tent in the moon in more ways than one.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my God. Would you ever go into space?
No.
Like, with Ashton Kutcher or any of them?
I mean, Ashton can go.
Well, I think didn't he buy like a ticket, I don't know, like 20 years ago to go into space?
Well, there's that. I did a bit about it in my last special about a flight to Mars because they want to colonize Mars.
Yes.
And it's like a commercial flight, and it's like a real thing. And I think it's Elon Musk. It's like SpaceX.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But it keeps getting delayed. But I just don't even. I can't even wrap my head around. Like, I'm afraid of elevators. I'm super claustrophobic.
Oh.
I had a paralyzing fear of flying, but I had to get over it because of work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to I take stairs all the time. I don't take elevators. But I mean, to be on a space shuttle, I mean, those fucking people are up there right now.
Trapped. Oh, dude, there is nothing.
A horror movie.
There is nothing in this world that is more terrifying to me than what those motherfuckers are going through. Oh my God.
I mean, the psychological evaluations and preparation to just in case that happens. I mean, one of my most horrifying things that I heard was the story. This is a real story. You can look it up in New York City. And it's a guy that got stuck on an elevator for 3.5 days. And this is real, dude. And it was like, I think it was on Yahoo News. I saw it. And it's a guy that left work on Friday and he went down the elevator and he was like, oh shit, I forgot my phone. And it was a holiday weekend again. And he went up and it stopped. And everybody had left for the weekend. And then I don't know if it was a really old building or whatever, but he didn't have his phone. But he had a backpack with like a Snickers and like a Gatorade. So he's in the elevator for 3.5 days. He has no idea what time it is, what day it is. And they have a timeless. They have a camera in the elevator.
Yeah.
And he's like doing this. And then they show him, they time lapse it. And he's like trying to pee out of the door. He's trying to shit out of the door. I mean, and then he was on, I think, Oprah talking about it. And he's like, yeah, I like lost my mind. I had no grasp of if I was ever leaving, if I was,
That's how quick do you think you jerk off?
Within the first minute.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Just to get it. By the time they pry those doors open, it'll look like, in Spider-Man when he learns how to use his webs.
Yeah.
That's what it's looking like in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have 3 legs and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I might be glued to the damn wall by the time they get in there. Like, it's like in a cocoon, a cum cocoon.
Yeah. Cocoon.
Yeah.
Great band.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'm claustrophobic as shit. I couldn't go to the fucking
No, I'm with you. Like, very claustrophobic. I got locked.
Have you ever been stuck in an elevator?
Yes, temporary, very short amount of time. But I was already claustrophobic before then, so really just kind of nail in the coffin.
What were you saying? You got locked where?
I was at Sunday school whenever I was a kid, and and got locked in a toy chest.
I thought you got locked into religion.
Oh, well, no, trust me, it walked my fat ass right out of there. I was like, I don't think this is for me anymore. Like 7 years old and already became, like Richard Dawkins. But
Well, you got locked into what?
It was a toy chest, like where all the blocks were. I mean, I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. They're this big like crate filled with like toys. And one of the older kids like dared me to get in it, and I did. And then they all sat on the lid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was crying, screaming. Yeah. It's like, no, that's
horrifying. Yeah, my brother had a similar thing. It was an old trunk, and he climbed in, and it shut, and then it locked, and it was so old they didn't have the key.
Yeah.
So he was in there for, I can't remember, but I think he was in there for like a good half hour.
Fuck. Oh, that's the longest half hour of your life, too.
Oh, yeah. He was young, too, but still, I mean, he was in there.
Have you ever been stuck in an elevator? Or is that just a fear that just kind of popped up?
2 times I got stuck. So sometimes you have to take an elevator.
Yeah.
New York City sometimes is one. And then Vegas. And then certain hotels. If you stay at like a really, really nice hotel, they don't have easy stair access. Because it's like... Yeah. They're just like bougie and like locked down. That's why it's just a reasonable hotel, maybe a Residence Inn.
It's a good move. Yeah,
they always have stairs.
A Motel 4,
maybe a Motel 6, D9. See what I did there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Opposites attract. Yeah,
opposites attract. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So what was I talking about? Getting stuck in an elevator. So one time in New York, I was on the 45th floor. It was Comedy Central's office.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so it was a fast elevator, and I go up, have a meeting with my agent, and then it was rush hour, so everyone's leaving work. So I'm on a packed elevator, and it's going down, and all of a sudden it just goes, and it stops, and all the lights go black, totally pitch black, and everyone's like, and then 1 second later, it just goes, and the lights come on and it just keeps going.
Ooh, yeah.
For that 2 seconds, everyone's heart just stopped, because it's like, how quickly could they get there if we were, you know what I mean? It's Manhattan during rush hour.
Yeah.
And then the second time, and this is a real story, I was in Boston with my friend Jay Galvin, and I was filming Grown Ups 2, and they put me up at the Ritz Carlin, and I was like, no, I can stay at the Marriott.
Yeah.
And Stan was like, no, we're all staying at the same hotel, blah blah blah. The elevator's fine. So cut to Jay comes up to my room, get my stuff, we're going out, and the elevator stops. And I swear, my hand to God, I freak out within a second, and I grab the doors and I rip them open. Like, I swear to God, it's like that old, like,
Yeah.
strength of, like, a mother and her kids trapped, and she throws
Yes.
the fucking semi over a fucking the Rockies or something, whatever.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
ripped it open, and Jay's like, "Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And we were halfway to the lobby, and I'm like, "Jump! Jump!" And he's like, "Oh my God." And he dives in the lobby, and then I fucking dive out. And I'm shaking. I'm like so horrified. He's like, "Dude, we could have died if that elevator started moving." I'm like, "I don't care." And it was horrific. But like, and then after that, I was like, "No, like I won't. I don't care. I won't stay at a Ritz. I'll stay at a fucking Marriott. I don't care."
Yeah, dude, that's what happened whenever I got stuck in the elevator. I was with like a few friends. I was pretty young, and I pulled the doors open. It was surprisingly easy to do, which I think this elevator might have been a little shitty, hence getting stuck.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
but mine, I mean, that's why, like, if I have to take an elevator, I won't take an elevator with one of those doors that's just one door that slides
oh no.
because you can't, at least, like, you can rip that open.
Yeah,
I mean, at one with two doors,
yeah,
or if they have, like, a top, you know what I mean, where they have, like, that panel where
uh,
you can, like, pop that open.
yeah,
That's fine, just as long as I know that there's an out.
yes. That's my whole thing. Is I just don't like feeling. It's one of my big fears with flying. It's not that like the plane could crash. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's that I can't get out of the plane. Like if I want to go walk around outside, gonna be hard to do.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
totally. I mean,
like
I've sat on the tarmac. The worst is when you're hungover. Do you drink or no?
I used to. Yeah, I quit a little while back or a while
Yeah,
back. Yeah,
that's
but
not
yes, I've
never
been there. Yeah,
been there, done that. Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't drank for like 5 weeks, so I'm not
damn.
drinking this. Yeah, I'm trying to not drink on this tour for a while.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, when you're hungover and your anxiety's high
Oh
and
God,
when you're stuck on the tarmac is when anxiety level hits 1,000.
God.
Where
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's.
I mean, I've stopped planes, I've gotten off planes, I've had them taxi back. This is back in the day, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, is it a lot easier for you now, just because you've gotten so much more used to it, or do you still have that kind of initial like, oh fuck, this is here
Well,
we
the
go.
thing that kinda changed it is that I would get Xanax,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and so that helped immensely, and then so that would help me if I panicked, and then it got to the point where I would just have Xanax, and knowing I have it, I wouldn't even take it. But just knowing I had it just eased my fears where I was like,
Yeah.
you know
That's the best thing about Xanax is that just having it works.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's a trip because if you when you do take it, it's amazing.
oh
I mean,
yeah.
don't abuse it, you know what I mean? But, like,
No. Yeah.
if you use it for what it's for, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I
Oh,
mean, I
dude.
have friends that will take a full bar of Xanax and go on stage, and I'm like,
Oh.
I can't even fathom that. I would be,
Yeah.
just The Walking Dead.
That's a that's a rough one. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you use it in the right like, circumstance, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I could take half a bar of Xanax if the plane was on fire, I'd be like, "Oh, dude, let's make s'mores or something."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Get a tan.
game
Yeah.
on, Garth.
Yes. I'm with you. Like, it's a miracle drug for sure.
It's
You
yeah.
got to be a little careful or you end up like a, SoundCloud rapper or some bullshit, but things could, life could be worse. Yeah. That's
Speaking of SoundCloud rappers, come see me live on tour, nickswardson.net, Toilet Head. And then
yes.
also my new special, Make Joke from Face, is free on YouTube right now. And those are 2 different hours.
Dude.
So, I mean,
This special is amazing.
oh, do you like
Yeah.
it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. I watched it. Yeah. I watched it again not that long ago. I mean, I watched it whenever it came out and then watched it. Yeah. Pretty recently. I was like, God damn, dude. It's fucking great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Which is crazy. I mean, not to like kiss your ass too much, but here we go. Like part of you getting big, like young, is like, I think you were probably like the first comic I remember seeing who felt like similar to me in a sense of like, oh,
Right.
there's like a young guy. Cause all I had ever seen was fucking George Carlin, Cosby, and like Jeff Foxworthy, which are great
Right.
comics. I mean, I'm not shitting on them or anything, but like, to me, they were old men. So I was like, I don't get it. But then I remember you being like distinctly like feeling like, oh shit, you could be like young and have this kind of sense of humor and be
Yeah.
a comic. You don't got to be in a suit or,
Yeah, no, I mean, it was funny because I kind of like not looked down on stand-up, but I started acting and then improv, and I was a big improv person when I was in high
Yeah.
school. And
Yeah.
then I always thought stand-up was so corny because like I was coming up in the mid 90s and stand-up was kind of dying down in the 80s. And the
Right.
80s comics, I mean, there's so many great comics, but it was a lot of like guys in suits and piano ties, and
Yes.
the female comics were, kind of, housewives, or, it was kind of
Yeah.
more that vibe. So I came along, and a lot of people did. I mean, I was part of the era of, Mitch Hedberg,
Mhm.
Pablo Francisco. Um, there were a lot of Stephen Lynch. A lot
Yeah.
of guys brought a whole new energy to stand up. And yeah, I always like that when people see my show and they're like, dude, it feels like you're just in my living room. Like we're just shooting the shit.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't like yell at the crowd or anything. Like,
Yeah. Because
it's
that was
very
always,
casual.
well, that's always like, I mean, I love George Carlin, or I think he's obviously a legend, but I never really watched it and was like, it never felt very like real, if that makes sense. It felt more like a lecture, but in a good way, not in a shitty like
Right. It's kind
culty
of like he
way.
was delivering like a monologue.
Exactly, which is incredible because it's just one guy, making these amazing points, blah blah blah. But like, there does seem like there's a newer group who was like, oh, okay, this feels like the way your friends make jokes. Like
Right.
it's obviously much more than that, but it feels casual.
Yeah,
And
my friend pointed that out. We were talking about like, oh god, it was like skateboarding. I love skateboarding.
mhm,
And I think we were talking about athletes and stuff, and how, I was like, God, it's just they make it look so easy. Like these skaters like Day One Song and Rodney
yes.
Mullen and Tony Hawk, and I mean there's millions of great skaters, Ryan Sheckler.
Mhm.
And I'm like, God, they make it look so easy. And then my friend goes, yeah, so do you. He's like, none of these people could do stand up for an hour.
Yeah.
Go to like Aaron Judge on the Yankees, Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, any like he's like, people look at you and go like, how the fuck, like, that takes like so much practice, so much trial
Yeah.
and error. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, it
I'm
is
putting in-
true. Like it does take, I mean, it is a thing that people who are good at it make it seem like you can just do it. Like you can just walk up there and do it.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
that's
weird skill set, and I always forget about that. So it's funny that my friend kind of grounded me. He's like, yeah, I mean, what you do is fucking insane.
yeah.
And I've met so many athletes and rock stars and
Mhm.
rappers and like all these awesome people, and they always like give it up to stand-up comedy. They're all
Yeah.
everybody.
Yes.
They're like, because it's one of the biggest fears of so many people is speaking in public.
It's the number one fear.
Yeah, I think it is that and
Yeah.
a spider with a knife. That's a
Yes.
close second.
Yes.
Spider
Yeah.
Knife. That's another good band name.
Yeah.
Spider Knife.
Spider knife's a good
Don't,
one. Yes.
yeah, don't take my
Arachnid
fucking
stabbers.
band ideas, people out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you'd be good. I think Gene Simmons probably needs a new band name, so let him take Spider Knives.
yeah, Spider Knives, and then what was the other one? Come Coon.
Come Coon. Yeah. Yeah. Come Coon's a good one. I
Yeah,
mean, I might save that one for myself or, next tour idea.
yeah.
Actually, I was curious because I'm horrible with titles, or not horrible with titles. I always second guess.
Abysmal.
Abysmal is a better way to put it. But I also just, I'm bad at, sticking to it. Like I always feel like, no, that's not good. I need to change it. Like, do you have that feeling? Because I mean, the titles are fucking amazing. Like, Make Joke from Phase might be one of the greatest titles ever for a special. Like, it doesn't have to be, some like, fucking Emily Dickinson shit. It could just be Make Joke from Phase. And it's a great title. But do you ever think like afterwards, like, I shouldn't have fucking called it that? Or,
No,
okay.
I just know. Like my first special, Seriously Who Farted.
Hmm.
My second one was called Taste It. My third one was called Many Smells. Then it was Make Joke from Face.
Yeah.
Now I've got Toilet Head. And then I don't have the set yet, but I have my next special title, which I can't give away. But,
yeah. Well, the tour that you're on now is not going to be the title for the next.
The next special is Toilet Head.
Okay, right, because that's the name of it.
Make Joke from Faces out now.
Right, but the tour that you're on now is called the Toilet Head Tour, right?
It's called Toilet Head. No, yes. Nah, man, it's just Toilet Head. Toilet Head.
Yes, well, the is, yeah.
Get the does out of here, man. It's not the Facebook, it's Facebook, man. Now I'm gonna just start a new social media, Face Toilet.
Yeah, I think
I'd Face Toilet.
I'll take Face Toilet over Facebook any day. It's it's a good combination. Yeah,
but like coming up with a special title, I just want it to be so absurd. And it started with my first special, Seriously Who Farted, and I wanted. This is back in the heyday of Comedy Central, and this is when comedians were getting nominated for Grammys and stuff. I think they still might. But I think they
do, but I mean, who gives a fuck? Yeah.
But I remember I so wanted my special to get it just nominated. I didn't really care about winning, but nominated for anything. Just so there was somebody that had to sincerely on stage, preferably like an older person, be like, and your next nominee, Nick Swardson, Seriously Who Farted?
Yes.
And then the crowd would be like, is that the name, or is he asking seriously who farted? Like, did somebody fart in the crowd? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
yeah. Could you imagine like Faye Dunaway saying that?
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
That'd be amazing. Dame Judi Dench presenting with Jeremy Irons.
Hearing Jeremy Irons say that would be, I don't know if ringtones are really a thing that people buy anymore, but I'd pay 99 cents for that ringtone.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I want to see a new movie called Jeremy Irons Man. And it's Iron Man portrayed by Jeremy Irons.
Yes.
And then he has 3 penises made of silk.
How many balls? Do you still keep 2 balls, or do you have 2 balls for each penis? So 6.
You have 6 balls.
So 6 balls, 3 penises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shit. Excuse me. Yeah,
that's okay. It's okay. It was a dumb question, and we'll move on.
Well,
pray for you.
Yeah, well, nothing new here, but
you got to come to my show in Dallas.
I will. When's
it? Tent or whatever the fuck?
Huh?
I said bring a tent, and just camp out because I know it's such a long haul.
Yeah, I do.
Texas is in early December. Let me pull it up.
Oh, really? My birthday's in early December.
Yeah,
right, okay. Will you sing happy birthday to me on stage?
I will. Don't fucking dare me, dude.
Okay.
Where the hell is it? Oh yeah, here it is.
Dallas is in Texas, yeah.
No, it's not. See, you're wrong. It moved.
Oh God.
Yep. It's in Iceland.
Yeah.
December 4, 5, 6, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio.
Okay, my birthday's December 7th. It'll be an early birthday present to me.
Yeah, it's perfect. I'll comp you. Just DM me.
Okay.
Bring whoever. It's a great theater, Majestic Theater in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's funny because
that's a great one.
The 2 states I really like a lot are Texas and Florida. And they're like 2 of the most like hated, like made fun of states. But like it's like I don't know. I fucking love Florida. I lived in Key West. I've done a few shows there. I like Dallas. I like San Antonio. I like Houston. I like Austin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm a weirdo, but they're all.
I don't think it's weird. I mean, Texas is great and Florida is great. I mean, there's some wild shit in both.
Yeah, there's some wacky ass shit, but I mean, I've traveled nonstop all over the place, so there's weird shit everywhere.
Yes,
like people shit on Los Angeles. Los Angeles is fucking amazing. I've been there 25 years. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I don't get the shit on LA, shit on New York kind of thing that a lot of people in Texas have it. Obviously, because a lot of people from California have moved to Texas recently.
I know everyone's mad.
Oh God, I know. They fucking hate it. Yeah, the Texodus, as people call it. Like it's, I don't know. I mean, people from California seem all right. I mean, I don't know if it really fucking matters where you're from. And LA has all kinds of cool shit. Like, why wouldn't you? I mean,
it's got a ton of cool shit. Nobody there is like, I mean, there are people from there, but so many people are transplants.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yeah, the people from there, I feel like you definitely know that they're from there. It's like the kind of Jane's Addiction, Red Hot Chili Pepper sort of vibe of like, oh, this is a real person from Los Angeles.
Right.
Like yeah.
But like Texas, there's so much room.
Yeah, it's a bunch of
there. I mean, good God. I mean, I can see if there was, 10 million people trying to move to Manhattan, that would be a nightmare.
Yes.
No room. Even like Key West, I lived there, and they were kind of like, oh, no more people, because it's an island.
Which makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It makes total sense.
Right. Key West is great too.
So they could start 20 more cities in Texas and still be fine.
Yes, without a doubt. Which
there'd be no water, but it's fine.
Who needs it?
There'd be whiskey and tinkle.
Yeah, and Coca-Cola is like 90% water, so don't bitch about it. You could just
yeah. One of my favorite things, my buddy was worked with Lemmy from Motorhead, who passed away, and he, my friend his assistant told me that Lemmy went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, yeah, this is not looking good, and he goes, do you drink any water? And my friend Matt said Lemmy was dead serious, and he goes, yeah, I drink water every day. And the doctor's like, how much? And he goes, well, I put ice cubes in my whiskey. And he was totally serious. I thought that was the best thing I'd ever heard.
Yeah. So
yeah.
However,
I drink like 10 glasses of water.
Yeah. However much water is in 8 ice cubes, that is that's how much I drink.
So amazing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know people who are very similar. Like, yeah, coffee's all water, so yeah, I drink water. Fuck off. Like,
yeah,
I guess that's a fair point. I mean, yeah, my God. So I have a few random questions for you if you like to
go for it.
Into those. What was the first special you ever saw?
Oh, the first stand-up special?
Yeah. Or USO special. I don't know either one.
God, I don't know offhand.
Or one that made an impact.
I remember the first 2 comedy albums I had.
Okay.
Stephen Wright, I Have a Pony.
Great one.
And Pauly Shore, The Future of America. And they're both phenomenal, and they both became friends of mine.
Yeah.
And I know Pauly really well. I've known Stephen a long time.
Yeah.
So that's always surreal when you grow up on people and then they become your friends, like Sandler and Spade and those guys.
Yeah.
But I remember Steve Martin. I remember Bill Cosby. My parents had those albums.
Mm-hmm.
Woody Allen stand-up is fucking hilarious. He's
yes.
brilliant. So those are like the building blocks. And then when I started stand-up, I became, because I just have an addictive personality, which was showcased on TMZ this winter when I was in Colorado.
Hell yeah.
And I've been an on and off drinker or whatever, but when I started stand-up, I had already gone to rehab when I was in high school for drugs. Okay. And so I cleaned up, and then my addictive personality shifted to comedy. So instead of being fully obsessed with drugs and alcohol, I went to rehab, cleaned up, and then when I was 16, I just threw everything into stand-up. So I was watching there was so much stand-up on back then, from like Comedy Central had every evening at the Improv. They had the A-List. They had Doritos stand-up, Friday night videos. There was stand-up on late shows. There was so many, and I just absorbed all of it. And I remember the first 3 specials that I saw in that era was Dave Attell, Brian Regan, and Anthony Clark, who doesn't do stand-up anymore. But those guys, and then I just gravitated towards there. Really funny guys back then. Jake Johansson's amazing.
Dave Attell. Dave Attell to me is one of the greatest ever. Like that's
I'm so glad he got a Netflix special, because he's been around for so long, and he's been hilarious for so long. Same with Brian Regan.
Yes.
And they've been so funny consistently. And so I was really happy for Dave. Like his show Insomniac on Comedy Central, like that should have been on HBO. If that was on HBO, that would have been another level.
Exactly.
So it was just like, it was so tame. And
I
Dave,
know.
So, he can go for it. He's great.
Yeah, God, you're right. That 100% should have been on HBO right after Real Sex.
Yeah, totally. That would have been perfect.
God. Yeah, that's in between Real Sex and Cat House. I don't know if you remember watching that, but boy, that was a rough one.
Cat House?
Yeah, it was about the brothel in Nevada.
There were no cats, were there?
Well, I mean, I guess.
It wasn't about kitten fuckers.
No. Well,
my watch.
You're touching on the boundary here of what it was, but it was anyways, for a 7-8-year-old Cody, it was quite an experience to see. But
Comedy Central used to. I remember like after midnight, they got away with airing stuff.
Yeah.
Which was like raw. You know what I mean? Like like a just whatever, just
uncensored. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I watched
that, but whatever.
Yeah, I watched tons of specials like through that, like Eddie Murphy, Delirious and Raw, and then like I think like a lot of Dane Cook specials were massive at that time. So like seeing those, I mean, there's just like a handful. I mean, the person who always like stood out to me as being still to this day, I think the funniest human being of all time is fucking. I mean, and know him very well, Norm Macdonald.
Oh yeah,
like that's to me, that's like if I have to be able to laugh within 3 minutes, I could just pull up a video of something of Norm Macdonald. I'm like, yeah, this is the funniest person to ever live.
He was phenomenal. I've got 3 Norm stories in my new toilet headset. I knew Norm really well.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. One of my favorite things about him is that even though, like, I mean, again, I was really close friends with him, you never kind of knew what was going on in his brain. Like, even, I would just be like, well, are you serious? What's going on right now? And he would do it on stage. I remember stories and stuff where he would just kind of tank. Like, if he wanted to kill, he could kill.
Yeah.
But if he didn't like the audience, just wasn't in the mood. I mean, I remember I did this is back in the day when I would do colleges. I did some college in Iowa, and I was like, oh, have you had other comics at the school? And they were like, yeah, we had Norm Macdonald from Saturday Night Live. And I go, oh, Norm's the best. And they're like, yeah, he got booed. And then people walked out. And I'm like, really? And they were like, yeah, he went on some rant. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But like, it was just funny and fun for him to just be like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna phone it in or whatever. I don't know.
See, I think in that room, had I been there, I think I still would have been crying laughing.
Oh yeah, totally. Like when you're on his wavelength, it's hilarious.
Yeah, there's something about the not chaos because it's very like subdued, but the kind of just I don't know, like
it's almost like anarchy.
Yeah, the absurdity of it is hilarious to me. Like I always thought Andy Kaufman was fascinating and funny, kind of like it's a little bit of a generation gap, so I may not get it really, but I just find him fascinating, and I kind of put Norm Macdonald sort of in that world. I mean, I know they're very different people, but like there's something just very absurd about going onto a late night talk show and taking 8 minutes to tell a joke that has like a punchline from the 60s.
Yeah, totally.
It's absurd, but it's so funny, and it's like most people couldn't do that, like, and it had that same.
No, that's feel. Why Norm on Conan was always so good.
Amazing. Him and Letterman.
Conan's like, what are you talking about? Where are you going with this?
Going on and on. Like the Scrabble story is one of the greatest.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's like all of those are just, like there's only a few people that can really do like shit like that, which, that's God. Okay, what movie do you think you've seen the most?
That's a funny question. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. I mean, God, I would say, and this is weird, it's generational, but I would say Wayne's World, I've seen a cartoonish amount of times.
That's a good one.
I would put that in like the 100 club of like Wayne's World, probably Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore together.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber. I mean, keep in mind that's when I was in high school.
Right.
That's when I was like coming out of rehab and obsessed with comedy. And one of my best friends, still to this day, is a guy named Colton Dunn.
Mhm.
He played the guy in the wheelchair on Superstore.
Okay, gotcha.
Really funny dude, really brilliant. And it was funny because in my theater company, starting out in Minnesota,
Mhm.
in the same theater company, it was me and Colton and Josh Hartnett, the actor. We were just teenage kids in the same company.
Really?
Yeah, it's so random. But
Jesus.
anyway, Colton managed a movie theater. So, like, in 1994, that was Billy Madison, Happy
Mhm.
Gilmore, Dumb and Dumber, Wayne's World. I mean, it was all in that early 90s era.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
we would just, he managed the theater, so we would just watch them, like, over and over again. And then the VHS came out, watch it,
Mhm.
nonstop.
Yeah,
And now, like,
that's
more current, like, I mean, I've seen Napoleon Dynamite. That was one of my last tour bus, um,
Mhm.
tours. I had Napoleon Dynamite and Spinal Tap.
Oh, Spinal Tap's a
I
great one
watched them
too.
over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I
The
think,
funny thing Wait, the funny thing about comedy is that,
mhm.
like, sometimes you don't get it right away. Like, there's a couple movies, Spinal Tap and Big Lebowski, when I first
Uh,
saw them, didn't get it.
really?
I go, "Oh, what's the hype?" I'm like, "I don't get it." And then that's
Yeah.
the genius about movies like that is literally they sat in my head, and the more I thought about them, I'm like, "I should rewatch it." And the more I
Yeah.
did, the more I loved it so much, and the more I
Yes.
was like, "Oh, these are, like, some of the best movies ever made."
Yeah.
But it took me a minute, it was really weird.
I feel the same way about Big Lebowski. Like, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, "God damn, this movie is perfect."
Yeah, I've
Like, it
watched that 100 times for sure.
same. Yeah. Yeah. Little Nicky actually is my, like, go-to for, like,
Little
that I'll
Nicky's
just
great.
rewatch. Yeah, it's a very underrated one. Like, people yeah, obviously put Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore at the top, which understandably so, but man, Little Nicky is and they're filming Happy Gilmore too. I mean, can you talk about that? Are you gonna be
I
in Happy
can't talk
Gilmore?
about it, I'm in it. I start
Perfect.
shooting next week. I mean,
God,
next month, sorry.
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Which
it's pretty surreal. I mean,
yeah, I mean, how the
I
fuck
was in high school watching Happy Gilmore multiple times. I
that's
mean,
crazy.
Adam's, like, one of my best friends, and,
Yeah,
now
that's
I'm in Happy Gilmore
insane.
too. It's super, super weird.
God. Yeah, that's fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah,
That
it's
has to be
exciting.
such a crazy thing to, like, walk on.
Yeah, it's
Man,
wild.
yeah. And what was your first concert?
My first concert, this is so random, in high school, and, my buddy called me up, Brendan McInerney,
Mhm.
and we were, sophomores or juniors, and he goes, "Hey, man, I got tickets to First Avenue," which is a rock club in Minneapolis that Prince owned and started.
Gotcha.
And, I was like, "Nah, I gotta get up tomorrow, like, I had homework or whatever." I was being a dork. And he goes, "No, trust me, man. I got tickets to this band. They have a hit song out right now, and they have a new album." And I go, "Who is it?" And he's like, "They're called Radiohead." And I go, "Oh, yeah, they sing that song Creep." And he's like, "Yeah, but they had that song out Fake Plastic Trees, whatever."
Yeah.
And I go, "I don't know." And he goes, "Dude, trust me, I'll drive." I'm like, "Okay." So we went, and it's an intimate club. It
Mhm.
was fucking nuts. And this is like
Yeah.
1994, and the album The Bends had come out, and it
Mhm.
was crazy. And, like, they just ripped it. And I was like, "Oh my god, I can just see it." And that's when I became obsessed with live music and going
Mhm.
to concerts. I was a music fan, but I wasn't
Yeah.
a concert goer. And then the floodgates opened, and I just became obsessed.
That's a hell of a first concert.
Yeah, it was nuts. And I've
My
seen them
god.
several times after,
Yeah.
throughout all their incarnations,
That's a
What was
band that
what was
took
yours?
me it's a band that took me a long time to really, like, appreciate.
Radiohead?
Yeah, I didn't really get it at first. Same with, like, the Grateful Dead. There's a handful of bands where I just kinda like, didn't really care for a while, and then just for some reason listened to it at a certain time where I was like, "Oh my god, this band is amazing." Like, why did I not think that 10 years ago? Like,
Well,
yeah,
right, but I mean, a band like Radiohead, did major shifts in their
yeah,
sound and everything. So that was one of the most impressive things is when they went from Pablo Honey to the Bends
mhm,
to OK Computer and then to Kid A, and it was like,
yeah,
and then Hail to the Thief and all these albums, but to just completely, then Kid A was massive after
yes,
OK Computer, which is one of the best albums ever made.
for sure.
So, like, to have that success with such an extreme transition is crazy. But yeah, they were great.
Yeah, I don't think there's another band that has that. Like, a run like that where it's, not just like the same thing over and over. Because like U2 obviously had like a run, but to me their music is all just kind of it just sounds like U2.
I mean, the Beatles went, they did Sgt. Pepper.
Oh well,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So like
Yeah,
they
the
had
Beatles
some
for sure.
incarnations. What was your first concert?
The Misfits.
Wasp.
Huh?
Was it Wasp?
Dude, that's why I'm a fucking massive fan of Wasp. I mean, I should, whatever people should on him, but no, it was the Misfits, and then Roger Waters.
Oh
Pink
wow, those are
Floyd.
two great ones.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. Smashing Pumpkins too was pretty early on. That was
I've
actually that
never
might have been the
seen them
second one.
live.
Smashing Pumpkins are incredible. That's the the emo kind of kid in me that just
I
likes
love
to.
Smashing Pumpkins.
They're
I
amazing.
always
Yeah,
wondered why they didn't do Melancholy, Infinite Sadness as one album. That would have been the craziest if that was one album, that would have just been,
yeah,
14 tracks of just insanity bangers.
yeah. Very good. Yeah, very true. Yeah, they're. I mean, they're fucking amazing. There's a bunch that I just kind of missed out on and wasn't able to see, but such is life.
One of my favorite moments is, in the early 2000s, there was a big surge in rock, and it was
Yeah,
like the Strokes, the White
Killers.
Stripes, the Hives, the
Yeah,
Vines. The Killers came a little after, but around,
yeah.
not too far after.
2004, I think, was like Hot Fuss, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, see, like 2001, 2002 was like
yeah,
Strokes, White Stripes, maybe even
hmm
earlier than that. But anyway, long story short, I got hip to the White Stripes before Seven Nation Army and White Blood Cells before they really blew up.
yeah,
And they had an album called Distill or whatever. And so I
mhm,
had tickets, and it was at the El Rey in Los Angeles, which is a medium-sized venue, nothing crazy. And I was calling my friends. I'm like, does anybody want to go see the White Stripes? Nobody knew who they were.
yeah,
So I just went by myself, and I just gave the other ticket away. And the theater was standing room only, and it was about 2/3 full, maybe half full. And I was like, oh my God. And it was still one of the sickest shows I've ever seen. Jack White's on another planet.
yes.
And nobody would go with me. I couldn't even give the ticket away. And then I rubbed it in everyone's faces.
That's amazing.
Years later when people are like, dude, White Stripes. I'm like, I invited you to see them. No, you didn't.
Yes.
And another one of my favorite moments was I was living in New York, and my agent's like, hey, do you want to open for the Strokes? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, they're doing a special on MTV, like this half hour, can't remember what it's called. And they want a comedian to open, not a band. And I go, yeah, fuck yeah. So I'm doing stand-up, and it's all these hipster New Yorkers,
Yeah.
teenagers, and they are not getting me at all. I mean, I'm being like weird, I'm being silly. And then I just kind of snap a little bit, not snap, but I was like, okay, that I pulled a Norm Macdonald essentially, where I'm like, okay, this crowd's not vibing me. I'm just going to be self-indulgent, which is such a fun moment as a comedian.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, okay, let's see how this plays out. And I go to the crowd. I go, who do you guys think is better, the Strokes or Creed? And this is when Creed was massive.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't get my sarcasm or irony. And they're like, the Strokes, just screaming at me, the Strokes, the Strokes. And I was like, you're wrong. It's Creed. It's Creed by a fucking mile. And they're like, fuck yeah. And they're all fucking mad at me. And I'm like, Creed took you higher. Can you take you high? Can you take me high? And they not getting it. I remember in the second row was Anthony Kiedis and Jack Black.
Yeah.
And they're fucking dying. Like they totally got what I was doing.
Yeah.
None of these kids did. And then I look over and the Strokes are laughing. Julian and Nikolai, all these guys. And it was so amazing.
God. That's an interesting thing of like the comedian opening for a band. I've always like wondered, like, does it work? Like, does it ever work? Like, it just seems like a weird, because like Bobcat Goldthwait, I think used to do it for Nirvana back in the day. Like, it's just kind of like a interesting, which that kind of makes sense a little bit actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, that could kind of work. Yeah, it can go either way. I mean, I perform at music festivals, which is a little different.
Yeah.
But my friend, again, Chad, he had to open. He had to introduce Stone Temple Pilots, and he just had to introduce them.
Yeah.
And then he like does like some announcements or whatever, and then he like looks over to see if the band's ready, and then whoever the production manager, tour manager was like stretch.
Yeah,
like,
you
stand up. And he's like, "Oh my God." And I'm paraphrasing his story, but this is pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was like, the crowd just started to get angry. And he had to do they wanted to do 15 minutes because the band wasn't ready. And he said it was fucking horrible.
That's amazing. That's a hell of a jump from an introduction to 15 minutes.
Yeah. It was like
Jesus.
Die Hard. And, Insane Clown Posse has the Running of the Juggalos.
Yeah.
And they have stand up. And I remember they asked me, I don't know those guys, but
yeah.
They asked me to do it. And I was like, oh, I might do it. And I looked on the videos. I was like, oh, no.
No. Good call.
Rocks and shit at entertainers. I don't think anybody is.
Fuck that. Yeah. Well, dude, this has been amazing. I know I got to get you out of here, but yeah, this has been a great time talking with you for sure. And before you go ahead, plug, promote everything. I got your dates pulled up unless I can.
Yeah, throw them up. Throw the dates up. Toilethead, nickswardson.net. I've got shirts at swartsonshirts.com. I got Terry shirts, Viking shirts. And Make Joke from Face, free on YouTube.
Fuck yeah. Dude, this was awesome.
Thanks, man. And then I also have I'm working on a third script right now, but I have 3 new scripts that are hilarious and they're hard hour craziness. So I'm gonna try to bring comedy back alive.
Hell yeah. The hard R is the way to go.
Hard R, man. That's the way like here in Texas, big R's. Yeah, even though there's no R in Texas, not yet. Texas.